Hi, today I will talk about 10 beauty products that I don't use. With the time, I realized I actually don't use many beauty products for makeup because I also watch other people's videos and I thought it might be interesting to talk about that here. So today I will talk about 10 products. Some of them I actually tried, but I didn't like or didn't work. And some of them I've never tried because somehow I never felt any need or I didn't like the look of it. Or there are also some products which I am actually interested in, but somehow I never get to try. So I thought it would be interesting to start a discussion with you guys. You might agree with some items, then you can write that you also don't use that product. Or maybe you think I'm missing out something which is very nice, then you can try to convince me to add it to my makeup routine. The reason I don't use those 10 products is nothing to do with my minimalist mindset. I'm not trying at all to simplify my makeup routine. If I think something is really necessary, I'm willing to do because I really enjoy doing makeup. My minimalist mindset is applied when I'm choosing products. I try to keep just one product per category, which I regard as the best, which I love most, because I don't want to keep something which I don't truly love. And I also like to reduce the total number of items which I keep. So let's get into it. The first product I don't use is primer. I actually didn't really understand which effect should it give when I apply it under my foundation. Although I know from Korean beauty, when you try to create something like glass skin, then you might need a nice primer. But glass skin look is not something which I'm really aiming for. I think those glass skin sometimes looks like almost plastic. So I found it quite unnatural. So what I like to have is that my skin looks more velvety and soft. For that, I never really needed primer. Maybe there are primers for that need as well, but till now I just never used it. And the second product that I don't use is bronzer. I'm from Korea, so there it's really important to have light colored skin. So it was for me a little bit difficult to understand that people in Western countries favor tanned looking skin. There is nothing wrong with tanned skin, but if you don't have it, I think it's also quite unnatural thing to do, to artificially applying darker shade on your face. So I just don't want to change my skin color in any direction. So also when I was in Korea, I didn't do makeup to look my skin lighter than it is. And here also, I don't try to look darker than I am. So I think everyone should just keep their skin color and just feel comfortable about it. Just one problem which I have is, as I showed you in my Bobbi Brown brush collection, I do have one very nice bronzer brush. So that's the one reason I was considering maybe I should try bronzer one day. But till now I haven't tried, and I actually don't know what to do with my bronzer brush. And the next product which I don't use is contouring products, because I don't do contouring. I know many people do contour under the cheekbone. But I have actually more chubby cheeks, so I actually don't know where to apply this contouring product. In Korea, they also do contouring to look their face smaller, that I also don't like to do. And one time I happened to hear in one of the Bobbi Brown interview that she also doesn't like contouring because it is just telling the woman what's wrong with her face, and at the end it just looks like dirt. In my opinion, I think contouring might effective if you just take a photo from front. Then you can generate some kind of optical illusion. I actually apply lighter color for some areas which are going in deeper, which I don't like. So for that, I used the word hiding my shadows. Maybe that is also some kind of contouring, but I just don't have any contouring products which are darker than my skin color. And the next product that I don't use is eyeshadow primer. About that, I already discussed from time to time when I talk about pencil eyeliners. When I tried eyeshadow primer, that one was from NARS. My eye area looked extremely, seriously dry. So I could even see some fine lines, which I normally don't have. So it looked almost scary. And although it really works, my pencil eyeliner was really not smudging with the primer. And my eyeshadow was also not moving. So it is great thing, but maybe I have very delicate eye area that it looked like that immediately. So it would have been one additional step, which the effect I don't really like. So in that case, I just prefer to reapply my shadow than applying this primer every time before I do my eye makeup. And the next product I don't use is lash curler. I actually have very short lashes, also not many. But I tried it. The first lash curler I had was from MAC, but it didn't really work. Also, the curve of lash curler didn't really fit to my eye shape. So I struggled to use it, and at the end I didn't see much difference. So I bought again, this time MAC half lash curler. That is just half in length. Then I have to do it more times. So I could get some kind of curl, but it didn't look nice. So my conclusion was my lashes are too short to be curled. I think for those people who have long lashes, it really looks nice when this is nicely curled upward. But those people with short lashes, sometimes they even do just, this is not really curled up, but it's just pointing directly upward. And that is also a very unnatural look, I think. So that is not something which I really want to have. So when I apply just mascara, it's going up slightly, and I'm just happy with that. And you guys might think, when I have such a little amount of lashes, why don't I use false lashes? So that's now coming to the next item then. I think when I suddenly have thick, long lashes, it wouldn't suit my face. Also, for me, it seems like it's too much work to apply false lashes. I actually tried one time, long time ago. It didn't really work. And I also didn't like how my face looks like with long, full lashes. So after that one trial, I just didn't want to try anymore. That reminds me what Bobbi Brown said one time. I want to mention about one of her makeup tutorial. which I really like. But there was one sentence which she said that I didn't really agree with. At that time, she talked about her new mascara, which shows really dramatic effect. And at the end, she said, it will look like you've done false lashes. So normally her direction of makeup is natural makeup. But for mascara, she was basically aiming to look like false lashes. So I couldn't really understand that point. But I guess I just don't like the look of false lashes. And the next item is brow gel. That is something which I've never tried because when I see how other people apply brow gel, I see it's basically correcting the direction of your eyebrows. And for me, that actually looks unnatural. Your eyebrows have certain direction, in my case, just going sideward. And you suddenly change the direction, maybe going more upward. It just doesn't look natural anymore. And most of those brow gel also have color to it. So that means your brow color will look darker, so just similar to mascara effect. But that might work if you already have nice even eyebrows. But I apply the shadows to fill in the gap between my lashes. So in that case, such a brow gel won't help at all. So that's why I don't use brow gel. And next thing which I don't use is lip liner. That's just simple. I never really liked clearly defined lip line. So I just never used it. And I don't think it's really necessary unless you want to change your lip shape. And the next product which I don't use is liquid lipstick. This is actually what I have never tried. But when I see it from other people, I just don't like the look. Sometimes it looks almost like a lacquer on the lips, and I somehow imagine that will also feel very uncomfortable on my lips. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And that also generates very clear lip line. So I just guessed that won't be for me. And now finally, the last product that I don't use is setting spray. It's also something which I've never tried, but I somehow couldn't imagine how a spray of liquid could fix my makeup. And secondly, why do I want to fix my makeup? Somehow I imagine that won't feel very good, that I have some kind of fixed layer. So I never really want to try it. And when it comes to foundation, I talked often about my Bobbi Brown foundation, which I don't really need to retouch. I just need to blot my nose from time to time because I have very oily nose. Except that I don't need to reapply anything. Okay, eye makeup might be fixed, but I guess people are more relying on eye base than applying setting spray on it. So I never felt any need for setting spray. But I'm actually a little bit curious what it actually does and how it will feel. So I might try someday, but at the moment not. So that was 10 products which I don't use. And I'm quite curious about you guys. So please comment if you also don't use some of those products, or if you use it and you really love it, then you can also tell me your opinion. I might want to try then someday. So that was it for today. Thanks a lot for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye!